Stampede has been a very common stuff that happens in if most times whenever there is a sporting activities or there is a music festival in a very large crowd. Sometimes fans are just so excited, and sometimes they are violent and they just want to run, and in that process of coming closer, if there's a lot of crowd together, you'll be very compressed if you're in the center of that crowd. All right, so how can you survive? It happens, stampede happens recently in Indonesia, and in this case they were coming in the field with anger, all right, because their team lost the match. So I think they were protesting, and it happens that 125 people were killed. So it's very necessary to know some basic steps you can use to survive, so that you won't be one of those victims who paid to come see and enjoy a game, and at the end of the day they lost their life. All right, so how can you prevent yourself? I have like 4 5 tips which I will be sharing right now in this video. Number one is that when you're in the stampede area, try not to fall on the ground. All right, it's very important, because if you fall on the ground, somebody might crush you. They don't know what they're stepping on the ground. They are just moving, they might hit you, or they might match your head especially, and if they match your head, you know what it means. So if mistakenly you fall on the ground, just keep your hand like this, covering your head in a kind of manner where you're protecting your head. Your hands is like this, right? If possible, you can use two hands, so that in case they're matching your hand, not your head, because you have to prevent your head from getting crushed. And at the same time, it's difficult. There's a way you can just elevate your legs just to a little bit closer to your body, so that you'll be in a C-shaped kind, so that you might, it's not 100% protecting your body, but it might help a little bit. But if they match you, just try not to fall on the ground. All right, if you fall on the ground, it's risky, it's more risky. And when you're standing in a stampede, you should elevate your hands. Either you keep your hands up, or you keep your hands two fists in your front. All right, so this helps to just prevent anybody who is at your front coming to compress you. Your hands are just like this, like a boxing form. It helps prevent anybody coming to you. So this will help in the aspect of preserving your air. All right, and don't scream, don't get panicked, so that you will not lose a lot of energy, because if you lose energy, then you're in a worst case scenario. Right, so what you have to do is just to remain calm and follow the crowd. And if you spot an exit and you see many crowd rush into the exit, like what happened in Indonesia, they spotted the exits when the police were firing tear gas. So everybody wants to just leave the place. At the same time, do not do that. Try, instead of you going to the exit, try look for a place where there is nobody, and you free yourself from the crowd. If you can't, just remain in a feast inside the crowd and try not to fall. And the other step, you should go with the flow of the crowd. Like some, they will hit you and you're moving forward, and somebody will hit you and you're going backward. Your fist is there to prevent any compression to your chest, and your hands are like this if you're standing. Right, your hands are like this, is guiding your side, the side of your chest. The only side that is risky should be your back, but don't worry, your spine and is helping, because your lungs will be a bit far from the spine. Right, we just want to get enough air, so you're keeping your fist like this. All right, so if they hit you, you go with the flow of the crowd. Don't try to, if they hit you, you're pushing backward. You can't, because the amount of force coming from your back or is coming from your front, because there's a lot of people hitting that force. It's too much, so you can't prevent yourself from going with the flow of the crowd. If you try to prevent yourself, you would have some fractures of your ribs, and you do not want that. Right, so you should just go with the flow. If they're hitting you to the diagonal side, just try to keep your legs should be on the ground, to prevent you from falling on the ground. If you have that chance of seeing something on the like an iron or something which you can just climb and lift yourself away from the crowd, you should do that. It's a good idea. You just lift yourself away from the crowd. Stay there until everything has dissolved. Alright, that is more better instead of staying in the midst of the crowd. But if there is no case like that, just keep yourself in the crowd and try to grab as much air as you can. Your, pardon me, your head, you can just lift it up a little bit and take as much air as you can.